Hi everyone, so if my hair is looking a little bit different today, that is because I'm going all natural. I wanted to share with you guys my New Year's resolution that I kind of made like on the second day of January, but that is to use less heat on my hair. So I got up this morning and I was like, you know what, it doesn't look too bad, so I'm just gonna roll with it. But getting into today's video though, we are talking all about Makeup Geek. I was lucky enough to get this very first order for Christmas from my boyfriend Jerome, so thank you Jerome, because I don't know what took me so long to get into this dang brand. I'd been wanting to order from them for forever, so when Christmas rolled around, I made my little cart and I'm like, Jerome, here, this is what I want. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys why I chose the shades I did for my first order. I'm going to talk a little bit about the quality because I've been using these since Christmas, and then I'm also going to be sure to swatch everything for you. Hopping into the very first thing I put in my cart was this large lavender Z palette. Now this is something that is necessary for me because I don't have a lot of Z palettes, and I knew with ordering all of these pans that I was going to need one. I feel like with what I got, it's a really nice size, and if you guys aren't familiar with Z palettes, it's just a really nice magnetic makeup palette with a really nice lid, as you can see, and it comes in really fun colors. I would say if I ordered much more, I should have went with the extra large, but like I said, for what I did, I thought it was perfect. Getting into the eyeshadows though, I want to start out with these 9 right here. Now these 9 more neutral tones are the regular Makeup Geek eyeshadows, and they come in at $6 a pan. But quickly touching on this top row, those are the foiled eyeshadows, and they're super fun and colorful, so I kind of wanted to leave those to the end of the eyeshadows. But hopping into this first shade right here, this one is called Latte. This is described as a medium matte brown, and I think for me it's a little bit on the warmer side. It's not the coolest shade I've ever seen, but getting in here and like actually feeling it, I don't feel like it's the most buttery eyeshadow I've ever seen, and as far as the swatch goes, it's a little inconsistent and it doesn't have a ton of color payoff. Granted, I do think it's a really nice shade, and this is one of the first ones that I ended up choosing when I started to create my palette, just because I feel like every girl needs a medium matte brown, and that is what I typically wear in my crease. And speaking of that, I am wearing it today mixed in with some other colors in my crease, but I just feel like it adds a lot of really nice warmth to my eyes. And speaking of my eyes, obviously I'm wearing all Makeup Geek shadows, so I'll point them out as I go. Next up is this one right here, and it is called Moon Dust, and this is probably one of my favorites of the palette, and it's described as a metallic silver taupe. This is, as far as quality goes, I think one of the best ones that I personally purchased, just because it feels so nice and the color payoff is totally there. Plus, I mean, that swatch, guys, it just swatches so well. I love it. As far as the metallic finish goes, I personally wouldn't classify it as that. That's just me though, because I know I've used other shades in the past that are way more shimmery and in your face, but this one, it just has a really pretty glow to it, almost just like a satiny finish that I think is beautiful. I totally remember choosing this like as I was looking at the site and looking up tons of swatches on Google. It was absolutely insane. But I did want to mention that Makeup Geek also does some super nice helpful swatches on their site, like when you're looking at the actual shades, because they'll compare them to like shades that are in the same family. So if you're looking for an eye look or you're looking for shades that are similar, you can see them all in one place, so that is super helpful. With this next one, you're gonna start seeing a little bit of a trend here, because I did try to pick out a few purple tones just because I never really wear those and I wanted to get into them a little bit more. So up next is Fairy Tale, and this is described as a muted lavender with gray undertones. Personally, I think that description is dead on, and in the pan, this shade just looks gorgeous. But when I do start to put my finger in it, I find it a little bit chalky. And you can probably see that in the swatch, it doesn't have the most color payoff, and honestly, I was kind of disappointed when I swatched this for the first time, just because it's not that really in-your-face purple color. But then I got to thinking, you know, I'm not really into purple shades yet. I'm not quite sure how to work with them in the best way for me. So with this, I did find a really pretty way to wear it. I remember there was one day where I did a really neutral eye, and I was just like, you know what? I want to throw some more purple in here. So what I did with this shade is I took a super fluffy brush, just dipped it in there quickly, and then I buffed this shade over what I had already done, and it made a really pretty look. It just kind of purpled things up a little bit without being in your face, and I was really happy with it. So yeah, super pretty color, one that I'll be able to play with and work with, but just not the most opaque one, and not really one with the best formula. Hopping right on down to the second row, I know this one just from looking at it because it is such a unique shade. Now this is Cocoa Bear, and it is one of the most popular Makeup Geek eyeshadows. This is described as a matte reddish brown, and that is one that I never would have gone for if it was not my first order with Makeup Geek. With this first order, I also wanted to get a lot of those cult favorite shades, or just the ones that a lot of people love from Makeup Geek, so I can try them myself. So with this one, I haven't used it too much. I do have it in my crease a little bit today, like on the outer corners, and I really liked it more than than I was actually thinking. As far as the swatch goes though, this is not one of the most buttery shadows I've ever tried. It is slightly chalky, but as far as the color payoff goes, it's pretty good. Next up in the middle here is this one called Hipster, and this is one I really went back and forth on because from the picture on the Makeup Geek site and how it looks in person, I think it differs quite a bit. But the description of this is a dark sand and light taupe tan with slight shimmer. Yeah, on the Makeup Geek site, I feel like it looks a little bit more green, but I probably just looked at the swatches so much I decided to go for it. So this is a very unique shade, I think. It's one of the more buttery ones, I feel like, because when I put my finger in here, it just feels so nice. I do have this buffed out in my crease today, and I think I was hoping that the color on my eyes would be a little bit deeper, because I feel like that's something that I lacked in this first palette, are those kind of medium to deeper shades that can really darken up my crease without going too dark. Does that make sense? But it is a really nice color. I did like it in my crease today, and as far as the finish goes, I would say it's definitely a satin. We are finally on to my favorite one of the bunch, and this is the cult Makeup Geek favorite in Shimma. It's described as a shimmery pale beige, and if we are talking metallics, like was it Moondust that was kind of supposed to be metallic, but I didn't really think it was? I don't know, guys. I would personally say that this one is a metallic, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is just a shade that screams me. I have it all over my lids today. I absolutely love the color payoff on my eyes as well as in a swatch because this thing is so buttery. But do I already own similar things to it? Probably, but as far as the quality goes and the price point, I still think that this is going to be one of my favorite eyeshadows for sure. We are going very deep and dark with this next one, guys, and this is the ever popular Corrupt from Makeup Geek. It's described as an intense matte black with a very subtle sparkle, but personally, whenever I use this, I don't see any sparkle in it at all. So this was marketed to be one of the blackest blacks on the market, guys, and I didn't use this stuff until this morning, and I am hands down blown away. When I run my finger around in this, it is not one of the buttery ones at all. It tends to be quite chalky, but when I do get this in a swatch, you can just see how the color melds together. Even though there's a little bit of fallout, I do think it's a really nice black. But the one way this blew me away was using it as an eyeliner, guys. When I took an angled brush, I wetted it down and I used this morning. This was practically like using a cream liner, and this stuff is $6. I use shadows a lot for liners just because I like how subtle they are, but with this one, I was so incredibly blown away because in one swipe, I had opaque color. Like, that never happens. I was able to create a wing and everything, but I will say that once this dried down, as a liner, it's not like the most deep and dark black eyeliner that you've ever tried, like if you do use a cream, but as far as this one goes, and this just being an eyeshadow, it blew me out of the water. Plus, as far as choosing it, even though I don't use black shadow in eyeshadow looks very often, every girl's gotta have a good matte black. So we're getting down to the last two normal shadows, and next up is Purely Naked. This one is simply described as a shimmery tan, and this is one that I'm still kind of on the fence about. I did add this a little bit to my crease this morning just to warm things up a bit, but I don't know, this is super similar to my skin tone. It's a little bit on the warmer side, so I'm still like 50-50. As far as feeling it goes though, it does feel super buttery and it does swatch very nicely, but for me, it's just not the most unique color, and it really doesn't show up a ton on my skin tone. I buffed it out in my crease today like a transition shade, and I thought it did well. For me though, I just don't feel like it was deep enough, like it needed to be like one tiny shade darker. And last but not least, the lightest one of the bunch is Vanilla Bean, and this is another one that I just feel like is super popular as far as Makeup Geek shadows go. It's said to be a shimmery pink tinted nude, and I feel like it is really nice, but as far as the shade goes, it makes a nice base because it is practically like my skin tone in an eyeshadow. It is a little bit more on the chalky side. The pigmentation, I mean, as you can see in the swatch, it pretty much just blends into my skin, but I do like that because I feel like it really is nice for prepping the area like before going into other colors, and I personally really like it for a highlight. That is, if you're looking for just a really subtle one, a really natural one, I thought it was really pretty. Getting into the foiled shadows though, I did purchase 4 of them, as you can see these ones along the top, and we are going to start with this beautiful purple. Now I do want to say that these foiled shadows do come in at $10 rather than $6, but I feel like the quality of these is absolutely out of this world. This first one that I picked up is called Caitlin Rose, and this is a bright amethyst purple with a foiled finish. This was like one of my wild and crazy colors that I just really wanted to play around with, and I wanted to get some fun ones for this palette. But guys, getting into this, it is the most beautiful purple shade, and that finish on this is so beautiful. In the swatch, it is super buttery. I feel like it goes on the skin really well, and even though I really haven't found a ton of ways to wear this yet, I did wear it on my lids woods the other day and I thought it was beautiful. I just love how iridescent these are too. I feel like when I move the swatch around, it kind of comes off as like a blue color too. It's just like one of the most unique colors I've ever seen. Next up in the little foiled family is Whimsical, and this is the lighter of like the foiled ones that I got, and this is described as a light silvery pink with a foiled finish. My idea behind getting this one was really to get one for like my tear duct area or just one to really brighten things up a little bit, and this one did not disappoint. It's almost like Shimma, but a little bit pinker and way more intense. The feel on this one, guys, is absolutely crazy. It is definitely one of the most pigmented and buttery feeling ones. I mean, seriously, there's no messing around with that swatch. I don't think I've really used this to its full potential yet. I feel like I've maybe added it around my tear duct and stuff, but all in all, I just feel like this is a super great quality shade, and I could see so many uses for it, like seriously. Moving along to Daydreamer, this is another one that's a little bit in the purple family, and it's described as a light lilac purple with cool undertones and a foiled finish. I love how all of these say, and a foiled finish. This is just another one of those fun ones that I got, but I wasn't quite sure how I was gonna use them, but these shadows, I can't get over how buttery and smooth and how well these swatch. I totally remember picking this shade though, because I remember that when I was thinking of like some of those other purple shades, like the Caitlin Rose and then that matte one that I talked about, I'm like, how pretty would this be like right in the center of the lid? Oh my gosh. But I kind of feel bad talking about these because I haven't worn them a lot, so I don't feel like I have a ton to say about them. They just make me super happy. But last but not least is the one that I'm actually wearing on my lower lash line today, and that is Pegasus. Ooh, and as I'm looking this up right now, it's actually 40% off, which makes it only $6. The description on this one though is a light bright aqua with a foiled finish. This just screams summer to me, and it makes me so happy when I look at it, but as I'm wearing it today, I do have it over a liner of kind of the same color. If you want to know the exact liner, I'll have it listed down below for you. But again, this one is just so incredibly smooth and buttery and pigmented. I just can't get over these foiled shadows, guys. Oh my gosh. And like in the summer for like a whole wash of color just over the lid, yes please. So now that we got all of the eyeshadows out of the way, guys, I wanted to share with you the 3 blushes that I chose. Now getting into these, the quality has been amazing. I've really been reaching for these almost on an everyday basis, and they're about $10 each. This first one is the darkest of the 3 that I got, and it is Rendezvous, and it's described as a rosy to medium pink with purple undertones. So even though I love bright blush, for some reason this is the one out of the 3 that I haven't worn as much as like the other 2, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. As far as these go, they do feel slightly chalky. They have a really, really nice pigmentation to them though, and I feel like when you apply them over the cheeks, it just blends so well. This is just like a super girly pink to me that I love wearing on the apples of my cheeks, and I really like turning to these darker shades when I have less makeup on, just so I can add a lot of color to my face and I can actually look alive. Getting into the one that I've worn the most though, this one is called Head Over Heels, and it is only $8.99 actually, and this is described as a light bubblegum pink with a slight shimmer. For some reason, to me, this also looks a little bit peachy, but like I said, this is the one I'm wearing today and the one that I've just been reaching for almost every single day. I love it that much. Again, the quality of this is very similar to Rendezvous, and the fact that it's not super buttery, it does feel a little bit chalky, but as far as the pigmentation goes, it's really nice. If you have lighter skin like I do and you're just looking at one blush that'll get you through every single occasion, every single makeup look, personally, I think this one is the way to go just because it is so incredibly wearable. And last but not least is this one in Secret Admirer, and it is $9.99 as well, and it's described as a light orchid purple. You guys know I love my orchids. This is one that I've loved pairing with the other 2, especially Head Over Heels, because whenever I wear that shade, I just put it on like the apples of my cheeks, and then if I do want to combine it with this shade, I'll put this shade just a little bit farther back, and I just feel like the overall look is super pretty. All of these blushes really do kick up a little bit of powder, but that is something that I'm not too concerned about because the colors are just so beautiful, and I just can't get over, like even in the swatches, how well these blend out into the skin. But yeah, if you're like me and have lighter skin, but you're looking for an everyday blush that's a little bit more like on the purplier or berry side, if you're not super into like the bubblegum pink that Head Over Heels is, this Secret Admirer one is the way to go. So those are all of my Makeup Geek products that I have as part of my first order, and if you guys have any other shade recommendations that you think that I need to add to this, please let me know down below. Also, please make sure to give this a huge thumbs up if you found it helpful or entertaining, and if you guys have a little bit more time here on YouTube or you want to check out a few of my other recent videos, just click that little eye right up there. But other than that, I hope you guys are having a great day as always. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!